When it seems that becoming a creator or a maker, and especially in these trying times, seems to be a huge roadblock of even getting started because of how things are so expensive, it kind of makes you become demoralized of even starting because these massive roadblocks in a way. So on this episode, I'm going to talk about why is the cost of everything is too damn high, and can we even afford to be makers in this current crisis of economic crisis again. Um, so let's actually get down to real talk about this. So since COVID, we really saw a uptick of, especially with wood pricing, like sheet goods, for a 4x8 piece of birch plywood was roughly what, about $40 or so, $30-$40. Because I remember, say back in the day, that MDF was more expensive because it was MDF, and not many people would use it in different projects around the house because of the inherent con of, if it gets wet, it just balloons up and it gets destroyed. But MDF, it makes really good boxes for speakers, and that's what I used it for back, like I'm talking like 20 plus, yeah, 20 plus years ago, that making boxes for subwoofers. And MDF was great because it was a dense material. It was had enough weight when you put everything together that it really didn't move around all that much. So at the time, that was, I think, 40 to $60, I want to say. But current prices, especially since after COVID, is thinking about the birch plywood, that is $80 for a 4x8 sheet good. Sometimes even more, depending on the thickness and quality of it. So, and then lumber pricing has really not really dropped all that much, if at all, since that time. So when you're looking at like becoming a woodworker or anything to deal with, wood pricing is rough. um, Especially like I said with the cost of materials. Tools, on the other hand, are pretty much almost the same way. They're getting more expensive. If we looked at like pricing for like the cordless power tools, the batteries themselves are astronomical just by themselves. And then, of course, you have to have a charger for it. So, the only way you can get into an ecosystem, say like DeWalt or Craftsman or not Kohler, um, Cobalt, any of them, and Bosch is another one. There's plenty other power tool companies out there. The batteries are a major expense. When you look at the tool itself, you're looking at, let's say, for like a brushless power drill bit, or not drill bit, but driver and drill. So if you're looking at like both of them, there you're probably about $150-$200. But then you have to compound the capacity of the battery that you want to get. Is it a small one, medium, large? And of course, the larger capacity that you go with, more cost it would be. So you're looking at anywhere from 100 to probably $170 for a battery. That's usually not including the charger. So it's, you can get the power tool itself for cheap, relatively speaking, but it's the batteries that are the driving cost of the entire overall cost of the power tool and ecosystem that you're getting into with. So you don't want to get like a DeWalt driver and then get a Bosch handheld router and then get a Craftsman uh, circular saw. So that's like three systems that you have to buy into, and of course three different systems of batteries that you have to get in order to power your tools. And of course you want to get extra batteries because If the battery dies, well, you want to keep going, you want to keep working, right? So you have to have a charged battery ready to go, and then put that in and put the dead battery on the charger, and you can continue going. But if you only have one battery, well, what's going to happen is that, well, you gotta stop working for an hour or two until the battery is charged. So that's what you have to think about when you're going through or when you're starting, is trying to figure out, like, for the tools and the ecosystem that you want to get into. If you want to get into like Ryobi or any of the ones I mentioned previously, and you have to look at the pricing of the batteries to say, okay, well, this one is the cheaper, it has more capacity, has better reviews from a lot of tool reviewer YouTubers, and it depends on your personal taste. Like, many people, it's going back to like the Ford versus Chevy um, people, where it's like, oh, you're driving Ford, well, it's found on road dead, or right, I'm a Chevy man. Well, it doesn't really matter, really, because both companies vehicles are not great. Their quality is not as what they were before. They have slid downhill. So you got to think about also with the tool brands is, what makes a good tool brand ecosystem to get into, and the the number of power tools, cordless power tools that are available inside that ecosystem. I know for like Ryobi, they have like over almost 200 plus items that you can use their batteries for. So that's kind of, it's just like, oh, well, I can take the battery and put this into my router, or I can take that and put it in my lawnmower, and it'd be good to go. So it's just something that you have to think about. And then again, going back to the wood pricing, is it's also, do you stock up? Do you get um, the, let's say, like 4 sheets of plywood, and that's like $80 a piece, or close to $100 a piece when you think about with after tax and stuff like that. So it kind of makes this as a economic barrier to new makers coming into this, and all the different things that you have to think about. And it's kind of a sad situation that we have to think about that. I mean, price was always something that was on the back of our minds, is, you don't want to just waste money making scrap, because you're cutting or you're measuring once, cutting 4 times, and of course you're making lots of mistakes and lots of scraps. So then you have to go through and cut through another sheet of plywood when it only needed one or even half of one. So it's something that a lot of new makers and woodworkers and artists, and because it's not just wood pricing and power tools and stuff like that, it's also the rising cost of art supplies like paint, brushes, um, canvas. I'm not really into the world of like physical painting, but I understand that the pricing of canvases are astronomical. Like, it's incredible how expensive a wooden frame with a sheet of canvas stapled to it, how expensive that is now. And I'm not saying that it was any cheaper back in the day, but now it's getting to the point where that's the first thing on your mind when you're thinking about, or you wanting to get into these creative spaces, that what is the onset cost of the materials that I would have to get into, and is it going to be viable financially for me to do so, because I know I will be making plenty of mistakes, and can I afford those mistakes? And it's it's something that you also have to start thinking about creatively, and the solutions of finding your materials. The best part is probably getting a used tools or materials, or if you have like artists, I know they don't go through all of their supplies in one go. I say that knowing probably I'll get um, commented in saying, "Hey, no, that's not the case. We go through everything," but it's buying used or sharing resources is a very valuable alternative to getting into your creative outlet. Used market is probably the best place you can go to. Let's go for the power tools or tools in general. Yard sales, garage sales are probably one of, if not the best solution to finding these items. There are plenty of people that are trying to, offload stuff that has been in their garage or in their house, is taking up space that they want to get rid of. And, I, for myself, in previous videos and stuff like that, I explained it that I went through and got rid of like probably 80% of the stuff that was sitting in our garage. Not that much, but anyways, a large portion of the stuff that was sitting in our garage just taking up space. I have bought years ago, never used, and thinking that, oh, I'll be using that, and just never did. So there are plenty of people that are doing garage sales or yard sales, and they're just looking to quickly offload. They're not out there to make a profit. They know in their mind, or I should say, majority of the people should know that a power like a circular saw that is corded, it's not going to go for market value of or retail suggested market value of like 150 bucks. No, they're going to sell it for 20, 30, maybe even 60 bucks. Something, it's going to be under $100 for that particular item. And you can easily pick up a decent circular saw that's corded, and all you would have to do is buy a new blade for it, and you're good to go for another 10 plus years. And I know for myself, I actually got a circular saw that was given to me from our neighbor. And the cord was cut. I think what happened is that he was using it, or somebody was using it, and the cord got in the way of the blade and it cut it. And of course, that it kills itself. But it was an easy fix, and I just wrapped it up. I would have to go back and redo it because it's kind of falling apart. But the fact of the matter is that it's still a good device. It's still a good tool. You just have to change out the blade because I know it's getting dull. So I should get some new blades for it. And sharing resources, that's also another good thing too, because it goes into the next point of makerspaces. Makerspaces are great, especially if you live in a city or a large population area, that you actually have these places that are dedicated to makers and creators. What I mean by makerspaces is a location or a shop that has the tools and resources available to anyone that comes in or signs up for their membership, because nowadays it's going to be expensive to run the actual physical location, insurance, power, internet, water, utilities, stuff like that. And insurance is the big eater of any kind of financial things to do with anything, any kind of business. So they would have to charge like a membership fee, and this maybe $125 a month, but you do have access into something that you normally would not have access to personally. I'm talking like maybe planers, joiners, you got drill presses, large uh, band saws, anything you name it. They more than likely would have that particular location these tools. So instead of you spending thousands of dollars and filling up your garage with all of this equipment that you probably use once or twice, you spend 124, maybe just say 300 or $500 over the course of a year, and you use the materials and the tools to create your project that you were wanting to do and get done, but you didn't have the necessary tool in order to do it safely and efficiently. So Makerspaces are a great option to have sharing resources that you normally would not be able to have or afford currently in our present situation. And it's not just, private businesses or private clubs. In our area, libraries have a section dedicated to. I know one location has their makerspace is a pottery. So they have pottery wheels. I believe they have a kiln as well, and they have all the materials necessary for you to sign up, or you become a uh, get a library card. That's all you really need, and use the services that provided to the community, and it's free of charge. You just pay for the materials, and that's it. You're good to go. Especially if you want to get in pottery, you can go to the library. They have different events throughout the year or different days of the month for teaching classes, or especially during like the holidays, they do like some specialized. Hey, we'll make a widget that looks like a Christmas tree. I don't know, but they have events for the community to help bring in people that might be interested in taking up pottery or fabrics or sewing or anything like that. So maker spaces and libraries. And I don't know, within your location, wherever you might be listening to, you might have these places nearby or within, let's say, 50 miles of where you live. Because I mean, 100, anything more than 50 is probably getting out of the range of feasibility. So it doesn't help if you're like in a rural area, because your resources are probably much more limited in the scope. But if you live near cities, and large population of the US are living within several miles of a city decent size, that you probably have maker spaces or libraries that cater to the maker community. So how do you make things on a budget? How do you make meaningful things on a budget? One of the things, like I have previously mentioned, is yard sale, garage sales, stuff like that. People offloading materials. That I know for myself, last year I had to offload a lot of scrap wood, and that's most of the stuff that was maybe uh, larger, or not as large as like your fist, like a piece of 2x4 that is like 4 to 6 inches in length, and something like that. You don't think about anything useful that you can make from it. But my case, I thought of it like a year later, say, oh, this would have been perfect for making small little craft things, or a pencil holder, or a phone holder, or something that you can make with these small pieces of scrap that you normally would either toss in a fire pit or throw out. So that's one of the things that you have to think about. And I wouldn't say start hoarding all of your scraps or anything like that, because really it can become dangerous when your entire garage is full of tiny, like 6-inch wood scrap 2x4s, and that's all you have left remaining is just that. But I mean, if you're making a business of small little items, sure, whatever, knock yourself out, really. So this is some of the things that you have to think about going through, and uh, trying different options of used tools, and how would this item, this circular saw, or saving up to get a job site or table saw that you think would help make your workflow a little bit easier, a little bit faster, and cut down on wasted material. So it's a long-term investment thinking that you would have to go against. Also, immediate gratification. I know for myself, I want to spend the $2,000 to $3,000 to get a saw stop cabinet saw, because they look pretty good, and and they're very powerful, and a lot of people love them, or something comparable. But the thing is that I can spend that $2,000 or $3,000 on many other options that would benefit me in the short term, but it will also benefit me in the long term as well, because it provides something that I can use to, further my journey as a woodworker and going into the business of creating these items for sale down the road. So I just can't think of a good enough reason to go out and spend and have it delivered to get that immediate gratification, because I want it now. So it's just, having to set realistic expectations. So let's say for the first year of getting into your hobby, or getting into setting up your business, is set yourself up with some small goals. I'm not talking like tomorrow I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna wear my red shoes. No, that's too granular. I'm more talking about, I'm going to work on a project that is going to help me learn how to do X, or how it's going to let me get more knowledge of using uh, Y tool, whatever, or something along those lines, where it's small steps that you can use in order to gain further knowledge, further experience, to get to finish up a larger goal that you had in mind that you want to get done by, let's say, the end of the year. So it's just something that you have to just think about, these small little things that are going to build up, that might put a damper on what you want to do, really, but it does help out by making you think financially, is this viable? That materials is going to be X number, and I would have to, make sure that I am planning things out better, because by planning things out better will make you, a better organizer of getting things done quickly and more efficiently. So that's just something that you have to think about as we go forward, because how things are going to go within our economic outlook is going to take another couple more years to flesh out to be better. We don't see, things dropping in price. Let's say next month, the wood price is going to go from $80 a sheet good to $20. That's not going to happen, and it's going to be many years, probably another decade or two, to get to a reasonable level. But that's if it even comes down. We've been looking at 6+ years of $80 sheet goods. And do you really think it's going to go down? No, it's probably going to continue to be at where it is, or raise even higher. So don't think of this episode as like a doom and gloom, and say, oh, well, everything's too expensive, I can't do anything, nothing's going to work for me. No, it's just that you have to become a better planner. You have to become a better, especially for myself, more uh, financially, I guess, better. I couldn't think. I have the term sitting right there on the front of my brain, and I can't remember what it was. But anyways, you just had to become a better way of strategizing how you go about things. So that's all this episode was, is just bringing a light that you have to think of the small things in order to create a bigger widget. So if you like this, and if you enjoyed this episode, definitely give me a 5-star review over on Apple Podcast or Spotify Podcast. Be much appreciated. And leave a review. Type out a review. Just don't say, oh, you suck, or 1 star. That's it. Now, give me something, a little constructive criticism, If you want to find out more, do visit the website, thismakerdad.com. That's where everything is. Our community, we have links to our community, our Discord server, everything. And I'll be posting up a Patreon link as well. So with that, I hope you have a good evening, and I'll see you later, taters. Have a good one.